So I'm Rachel Miller. I'm an assistant professor of history here at the College of Idaho, and I teach U.S. history. So the goal of the Redlining Project is to look into and research the legal and social mechanisms of racial exclusion in Ada and Canyon counties. And we're doing this by looking for the CC&Rs, which have exclusion clauses which make it impossible for anyone who's not considered a member of the white race to purchase a home in certain subdivisions. And we're doing this for two reasons. The first is so that people who live in those homes today can remove these clauses legally and easily. And we're also doing it because we want to make sure that all of us who live in these counties understand the history of why the places that we live look the way that they do.
My name is McKay Cunningham. I am the Director of Experiential Learning. I also teach classes in first-year seminar and constitutional law too. Redlining was a practice that the federal government engaged in the wake of the Great Depression. In the wake of the Great Depression, policymakers in DC wanted to stabilize the national economy, and the biggest way to do that was to increase home ownership, particularly with regard to middle-income and low-income families. And so they created all these financial incentives where families didn't have to put any money down. The government would back 100% of the mortgage, or just about that. But then the government said, we only want to give this availability, this homeowner possibility, to certain groups. And it went from city to city to city. The government did this, and it color-coded the city. Green areas were the areas where they were going to get this home ownership opportunity. And the red areas were deemed hazardous. And if you lived in a neighborhood that had people of color in it, hazardous, redlined, essentially boxing out a huge segment of the population of people of color from being able to enter the home owner's market. And there's only one or a few ways for low income and middle income families to accrue wealth, to be able to pass it on to their children and their children's children, and that is home ownership. And if you've been boxed out of that systematically by the government, purposefully, that has ramifications to this day. This project started with a blank map. In other words, there's a really cool website that shows where all of the redlining occurred across the nation. When you get to Idaho, however, it's blank. And we wondered, certainly some redlining did occur in Idaho, it's just not available to the public. And so we began our research project last fall in an Indiana Jones type quest to find maps, because we were pretty certain that they do exist here in Idaho. The funny thing was that even though we searched and searched and searched, we found no redlining maps. And you always have to go where the research leads you. We didn't find redlining maps that the government did, but we found private racial covenants that private citizens and land developers and realtors and loan officers created here in Idaho that were very widespread. And so we followed the research that direction. And in Ada County alone, the researchers that were part of this project found over 50 subdivisions. These are huge areas with hundreds of houses in them each that still have racial covenants attached to their houses.
Hi, I'm Sene Nilelamini. I'm from the Kingdom of Eswatini. I'm currently a junior here at the College of Idaho, and I'm majoring in international political economy, and my minors are communication and natural sciences. So the methods we used for this research project was basically looking at all the subdivisions in each county in Idaho, and basically we were trying to find any racial covenants within the subdivisions. So we used platforms such as Pioneer and Title I to find CC&Rs that would enable us to look at whether the subdivisions had any racial covenants, or if any language that suggested that people of color were restricted from occupying certain homes or lots, or just being allowed to live in certain areas in Idaho. A CC&R is basically it stands for covenants, conditions and restrictions, and it's basically sort of like a lease given to, written by the owners, and just to tell them about the restrictions that what they cannot do within the area or in the house, and just basically rules that apply to the owners of the house and people that want to live in the houses or the certain areas that they want to live in.
My name is Diler Osman. I'm majoring in international political economy, and I'm a junior here at College of Idaho. The significance of this project for me personally is that I'm a student of social science, and I have read sort of how historical racial inequality in the past have impacted today's inequality in the United States. And it's very significant to be able to go research on the ground by myself and see how for example, in Idaho, there were racial covenants and how people were persecuted throughout the history, from right to housing and other sort of racially discriminating actions, and how that has impacted those people today in the United States, and be able to make an impact on the ground.
As our research unfolded, as the students who are a part of this project began to unearth more and more of these neighborhoods that have racial covenants to them, the word kind of got out, and we were approached by Senator Melissa Wintrow, who was a senator in the Idaho legislature, because she had been thinking previously about creating this law to address the fact that so many properties still have racial covenants attached to them. And we became integral to that process. We helped draft the law, quite frankly, and then when the law was presented to the Senate and was presented to the House of Representatives, we testified before both houses in favor of the law. The law ultimately passed, and there was a signing ceremony that the governor did. It will become effective on July 1.
Yeah, my name is Julian Galvis. I am a senior this year at the college. I'm studying biology and environmental studies with a minor in business. One of the coolest things about this project is that it allows to create a tool that we will make available to homeowners, to the public, and it will essentially be a map that shows all the subdivisions that we have been able to locate in Ada County. And so the map will allow people, homeowners, to type the address of their house, and it will immediately direct them to their house essentially and show if it is located within one of those racial covenants. And the idea of using this tool and using this approach is to give homeowners the opportunity to take legal action and remove the racial covenants once the law goes into action.
It's really hard for someone to figure out and to know that their property has this racial covenant that was attached to it in 1940. Next steps are to create that interactive map that shows every property in Idaho that still has a racial covenant. So that all an Idahoan would have to do was type their address into this website that we are creating, and then they could tell whether or not their property has a racial covenant to it. From there, we link to the county recorder's office, which is where the law comes into play, and there's going to be a modification document on the county recorder's office website. And so an Idahoan can, in 15 minutes, essentially nullify a racial covenant attached to their property. So it really facilitates the law more than anything else. But these racial covenants are not enforceable today. It's against the law to try to say, no, you can't move into this neighborhood because you're a person of color. And so it begs the question, what is it exactly that we are doing? And we've spoken to a lot of Idahoans who say, I moved into this area, I was about to buy this house, and I saw this racial covenant. Now, they may not know that it's legal or illegal to enforce. Maybe they know it is illegal, but it's just enough to make them feel really horrible and not want to live there. And so, at least on a micro scale, what we are doing is providing a voice to Idahoans to say this is not who we are, and to allow Idahoans individually to take care of their own properties if they have.
Hi, I'm Alex Prevant. I'm a freshman history major here at the college, and I'm very excited to be a part of this redlining research project because I'm from the Boise area myself. I think it's just very shocking to be able to see like all of this racist language that is in the documents of a lot of the neighborhoods and places that I know and places I grew up in. And I'm glad that this project is giving me the ability to kind of change that and make it so that the Treasure Valley is a more welcoming place for everybody to live. I think the College of Idaho is a great place to conduct research like this because of the very diverse community we have and a lot of different viewpoints and place of experience here represented. And our program allows people from a lot of different backgrounds to be involved in the research.
It's ongoing, and if you are at all interested in joining this project from whatever capacity, as a student or as a professional, we welcome the help. It's going to be a project that goes on for the next couple of years.